Hello there, now thank you for clicking the play button. Now at the bottom of the screen here you should be able to see subtitles, which I've added for those that can't turn up the volume. Now this video will be about the hows and whys of making music. Producing music can take a surprisingly long amount of time. For some people it can take a few hours, but for the majority it can take tens of hours. So I was thinking to myself, why am I spending so much time in making music? And I've developed it into this video which you're just about to watch, and it should continue just after this ominous fade to black. So firstly, a little bit about mindset. Now, in many ways, this is the most important aspect of making music, and for any creative endeavour, because it's amazingly easy to lose focus and ultimately not get your ideas out there in a presentable form. Which, in my opinion, can be tragic in a way, because there could be someone who could hear, see or experience what you've created, and even if you don't think it's the greatest thing in the world, they might appreciate it, relate emotionally to it, and connect to your creative expression. But if you don't finish whatever it is and you don't put it out there, then that's not going to happen, because the song that you've written is sitting on your hard drive, or the book that you've written is sitting in a drawer in your desk, or the thing that you've created is sitting in the corner of your bedroom, and nobody will know about it. I was talking to a friend recently who mentioned taking martial arts classes, and she talked about how the mental disciplines that she was learning for this, these also fed into her daily life and helped her out with her day-to-day job. Now, it might be strange to imagine that these kind of mental disciplines feed into things such as music production, but this is definitely true for a lot of producers, especially for those who are making music completely by themselves and composing, mixing and mastering their own stuff. To do that is a relatively new thing in the history of making music, and even nowadays it's common to employ and collaborate with someone who's dedicated to just one of those aspects. Now, mental disciplines are true for all creative endeavours in this day and age, from writing a book, painting a picture, and just about creating anything. Now, if you intend to create something on a regular basis, as opposed to something which you spend so much time on, and come out with something, say, once a year, for example, then a good workflow and mindset are vital. What's really common is to have a great idea, then you spend some time bringing it to fruition, but then you get into the mindset of thinking, well, this isn't quite good enough yet and I need to work more on it. And then as a result, you never consider it finished, and therefore it's never out there for people to digest and appreciate. One thing to keep in mind is that you can really think yourself out of anything if you think too much about it, which is why I quite admire folk who go outside their daily routine and pursue their passion. Like, the people who go out there and perform in some way, or create their own business, create their own YouTube channel, their Facebook page, or people who do things such as photography or writing, just generally people who create things. You need to be brave to do that kind of stuff and put it out there with a good balance of both self-belief and inner critic, so that you're constantly learning and improving. It's especially difficult if it's something that you consider quite important to you, or if you're not a particularly extrovert person, because then it can become daunting, and the more that you put it off, the more daunting it becomes. So why spend hours, days, years understanding music and creating it yourself? Well, I'd like to talk a wee bit about the motivations behind making music, or even the motivations behind spending time on any kind of creative or expressive pursuit. Perhaps if you're wanting to make music, you should ask yourself what's driving you, because a better understanding of why you're doing something should hopefully make you better at doing it. So I was thinking of how to condense my thoughts about this, and well, it's time for me to go a little deeper here, so bear with me, because I'm going to quote a film. Now, this film is Equilibrium, which, it's that film set in the future. It was a bit iffy in places, but it did have some fantastic scenes. Now, in this one, it had Christian Bale, who was an officer in a world where artistic expression is forbidden, because the government believes that emotions are what causes crimes and all the bad stuff. Anyways, he has an exchange with Emily Watson, and she asks him, "Let me ask you a question. Why are you alive?" Now, he's a little taken aback by the question, and he responds by saying that he lives so he can serve the society that he's living in. So then she asks him, "You exist to continue your existence. What's the point?" So then he asks, what's the point of her life? She responds by saying that the point of her existence is to feel. And she says that without love, without anger, without sorrow, breath is just a clock ticking. Now, it's a nice scene. The themes are kind of borrowed from other science fiction films and books, but I think that's a really great metaphor for why I personally create music. Because you've only got so much time on Earth. Now, I've written a whole load of sad songs, a few angry ones, not so many love ones yet, but I'm adding to my output each day, and it feels liberating to share those expressions to someone in the form of like an MP3 on your iPhone. So music for me is all about that connection that you have to, say, for example, that person who's listening to your creation on the bus. All it is a sound recording which conjures up images and emotions in the listener, and it takes them somewhere else for 4 minutes. To me, that connection that you make to another person is what life is all about.
Why are you alive?
I'm alive. I live to safeguard the continuity of this great society, to serve Libria.
It's circular. You exist to continue your existence. What's the point?
What's the point of your existence?
To feel. Because you've never done it, you can never know it. But it's as vital as breath. And without it, without love, without anger, without sorrow, breath is just